Good morning, guys. Before we get started, I've got a little funny story to share. Miss Catherine here had a favorite mouse. It was a gray mouse with a pink tail and pink ears. And one day it just totally came up missing. And we looked all over the place for it, and I even thought that maybe it ended up in the trash. So we finally gave up on it, and she had like 2 other mice to replace it. So I had to get her accustomed to another mouse, and she rejected it constantly because she was missing her baby. Mind you, the mouse that she had played with for so long, it was her preference. She had it so worn out that the ears torn and the eye was hanging out. And good thing it was all stitched. And so she finally got used to the second mouse, and then it came up missing. So finally, the third mouse that was in the pack, she immediately started playing with it because she realized she didn't have a mouse to play with. And so she would play with it, we'd throw it for her, she'd catch it and stuff, and then I would put it up on the table to keep her from losing it. And then yesterday, she wanted to play, so I threw her mouse, and she's playing with it and swatting it around, and she ends up playing with it into the laundry room. And then she comes back out to me and she whines. I said, well, you didn't even bring me the mouse. We can't play. So I went and looked, and it was nowhere to be found. I said, what did you do? So I've got a little keychain flashlight. And I looked underneath the dryer, and lo and behold, there was her mouse. And there was another mouse back in there, a blue one with pink ears. Well, the blue one with pink ears, she never really liked anyway. We ended up getting her like a 9-pack, 12-pack of those, and she doesn't like any of them. So I got a clothes rack, and I started manipulating around, and I looked under one more time underneath the washer, and I saw something that had been missing for like around 2 months now, maybe even 3. And I said, Catherine, I found your baby. So I moved the washer around, and I start digging in there with the clothes rack, and I get it out. And she was so happy for her rag doll that she started rubbing all over me saying thank you. Seriously, just rubbing all over me. She was so happy she had her original baby. Let me show you this rag doll of hers. Look at the pathetic state of this poor mouse. This is her baby. She has played with this, that it's thin and used. And I decided to do an experiment with her because I ended up finding her other mouse that had been missing for about a month and a half. And so, lo and behold, I ended up pulling out not only the 3 mice that came up missing, but 4. The blue one being the 4th one. So I put the blue one back up into her goodie bag. And I decided to see just which one she really preferred. And I threw all 3 mice at the same time. She retrieved her rag doll and brought it back. I said, okay, let's do this again. So I threw all 3 again. Once again, she brought me back her rag doll. I said 3 out of 3. So I threw it a 3rd time. She brought back her rag doll. And then this morning, well, last night, I had put all 3 mice underneath the kitchen table. That's where I keep her toys, underneath the kitchen table, so she can easily get them back out. And when I got up this morning, her rag doll was in the middle of the kitchen floor, or in the middle of the living room floor. She loves her rag doll over top of the other mice. Reason why I call it a rag doll is because that's just it. It has become a rag, but she still loves it. So that's my little funny story. Let's go on ahead and get started here. Oh, and to make sure she doesn't lose her mice underneath the washer and dryer anymore, we're keeping the laundry room door closed for now on. So, that way she doesn't run and run for her baby, because literally she'll cry like a mama does for her kitten when she wants her toy. She will. She's only got her favorite toy. And she'll, like, we've got a ribbon for her, you know, the wands with the ribbons, and she'll play with that too. But her favorite is this darn mouse right here. So I'm glad that she got her original baby back, and she's very tickled too. She won't hardly leave its side now. She's so happy to have it back. She's been running to get to play again. And she's one of those kind of cats that would play nonstop anyway. But with this, she's back to being even more at it. So, just like a kid, they've got their favorite. Okay, let's go on ahead and get started. Special situation, hypoglycemics and diabetes. All diabetics who decide to apply Ray-Down principles to their eating should consult their physicians. The most common form of diabetes found today is adult onset diabetes, usually the direct result of overeating. In this condition, the body is overburdened by the ingestion of too much food. The pancreas is simply unable to produce enough insulin to handle the excess food. Insulin acts as a gatekeeper to the cells. It enables food to enter the cells. When too little insulin is produced to accommodate this process, food remains in the bloodstream in the form of glucose, blood sugar, or blood food. And the result is an elevated blood sugar level. And when it is elevated, it can spill over into the urine, something that only happens when the kidneys are stressed. It follows that simply reducing the intake of food will help get the insulin to food intake ratio closer. The key is to eat only the amount the body is calling for and not to eat too much food before the bloodstream is ready for more. A few good rules of thumb for adult onset diabetics just starting out in this program are: do not start off by fasting. Do not start off by fasting. Don't start fasting when you go to start Ray-Down if you're diabetic. Don't start fasting. Begin each day following the customary eating pattern recommended by your doctor. Then, in the late afternoon or evening, after you know you have stabilized your blood sugar, start looking for hunger. Fight desire eating in the evening hours, the time when most overeating occurs. It will not hurt you at all to cut back. It will help you. Obviously, as you decrease your food intake, you must decrease your insulin intake proportionally. See your doctor. Enjoy a variety of foods at all eating occasions. You can include a small amount of sweets, 5 or 10 M&Ms, if you desire. Small amounts of sweets eating during or immediately after a meal are tolerated by most adult onset diabetics. Juvenile onset diabetics can also adopt the Ray-Down Workshop approach and do well. All diabetics must make sure that they stay under their physician's care. Hypoglycemics respond wonderfully to this way of eating. We counsel them to respond to hunger and fullness by sensitivity. And I'd already read you the story about this juvenile diabetic. Yeah, go back, make sure here. By doing that, they will no longer go past hunger and risk the severe drops in sugar levels that they experienced in the past. Blood sugar levels become regulated and there are no more extremes. Special situation metabolism. Some people have been told that they have been on a lot of diets Some people have been told that if they have been on a lot of diets, diet pills, or liquid fasts, their metabolism may be altered and their bodies will be resistant to losing weight. To the contrary, we have seen that the minute people start eating less food, they lose weight. Think about it. How could food companies put calorie counts on the side of a package if everyone had a screwed metabolism? Metabolism refers to the amount of energy, calories, your body traps from food. Everyone traps 80 calories from a slice of bread. Even though some of you feel like you will trap 160 calories just by smelling it, while your thin friends can eat 5 slices of bread and trap only 10. Our metabolisms are fine, although in some very rare cases people may have disorders such as hypothyroidism. People need different amounts of food to keep their bodies alive, but this is actually related to how much muscle mass they have. Muscle is the most metabolically active tissue. In other words, it takes more calories to keep a muscle cell active than a brain cell. Your body will accurately call for the needed amounts of oxygen and calories. My body has very little muscle mass, and what little I have is not exercised much, so I need less food than most adults I know. I am content with a small amount of food. Special situation, irregularity. Expect less frequent bowel movements. Do not confuse that with constipation. As your volume of food goes down, so will the excretion level. It is normal to go to the bathroom less frequently. Bran cereals in small amounts with plenty of fluids will help alleviate true constipation, hard, dry stools. Contrary to what you have heard, roughage from vegetables has not proven to help with constipation and has been known to cause discomfort. The next chapter we'll be starting in is Help, I Feel Hungry All the Time. So that will be tomorrow. Let's go on ahead over to phase 2. The purpose of focusing on God. So how much of our mind do we have to give to the Father? That is a good question. We have already started with putting our mind on the Father every time we feel this desire, eating, or head hunger. So we asked you to start thinking about God when your mind wanders or starts lusting after food, which could happen frequently. Dieting has increased your lust for foods over the last few years. Therefore, you might have to get your focus off food and onto God many times a day. But perhaps that is God's purpose. God has taken something that was occupying our mind and has asked us to transfer that over to Him. This is part of the purpose of the desert. Look at this instructional passage for God's children in Numbers 9:15 through 20. On the day the tabernacle, the tent of testimony, was set up, the cloud covered it. From evening till morning, the cloud above the tabernacle looked like fire. That is how it continued to be. The cloud covered it, and at night it looked like fire. However, whenever the cloud lifted from above the tent, the Israelites set out. Wherever the cloud settled, the Israelites encamped. At the Lord's command, the Israelites set out, and at His command they encamped. As long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle, they remained in camp. When the cloud remained over the tabernacle a long time, the Israelites obeyed the Lord's order and did not set out. Sometimes the cloud was over the tabernacle only a few days. At the Lord's command, they would encamp, and then at His command, they would set out. Sometimes the cloud stayed only from evening till morning, and when it lifted in the morning, they set out. Whether by day or by night, whenever the cloud lifted, they set out. Whether the cloud stayed over the tabernacle for 2 days or a month or a year, Israelites would remain in camp and not set out. But when it lifted, they would set out. At the Lord's command they encamped, and at the Lord's command they set out. They obeyed the Lord's order in accordance with his command through Moses. Think about this assignment if you start to feel sorry that you have to look to God to know when you are hungry and to look to God to know when you are full. The Israelites had to look up all day and night. If it was in the middle of the night, they had to pack their tents, put out the fires, gather the children and pets, and take off. Sometimes, just after they had unpacked their belongings, pardon me, sometimes just after they had unpacked their belongings, set up the tent, and had a good pot of manna boiling, God lifted the cloud and they had to pack everything up and take off again. Let us stop complaining about a red light and green light with food. All you will have to pack up is a carry-out of food. Have you noticed that it takes your whole mind to get the red light and green light with hunger and fullness down correctly? God wants it all. But when we make him the master of our minds, we are free from the pull of food. Sounds good to me. Since we are going to be a slave to one or the other, I choose God. That's the way I feel. I'd rather completely give myself over to God than to give in to my body and overeat, overindulge, binge. And in reading my scriptures this morning, I found a couple more scriptures. In Psalm 32, verse 8, I, the Lord, will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. Isn't that wonderful to know that as you are learning to refocus on your body's need of only eating when hungry and stopping when you're full and completely turning it over to God, that he is going to be instructing you. He's going to be teaching you. And he's going to keep his eye on you. He's not going to just tell you, okay, just do it this way and then walk away and leave you to fend for yourself. He's going to keep his eyes on you and continue to instruct and teach you so that you do it right. That is so wonderful. And then Psalm 33, verse 22. Let your mercy and loving kindness, O Lord, be upon us in proportion to our waiting and hoping for you. So by just putting our complete trust in him, we're waiting on him. And we are allowing him to completely teach us and train us. And we're letting him show us what he meant for our bodies to do. And it is, I love the fact that he won't let us go, that he is wanting to work with us and teach us. I love it. It's so wonderful knowing him. It's wonderful putting my trust completely in him. Let me share a testimony with you from someone that I just heard from. I just read their email to me this morning. And they have been doing the principles of the Ray Down now for a couple months. And when they had started applying the principles of the Ray Down, completely trusting God and eating when only hungry and stopping when full, they had gone from a 3X shirt down to an extra large, and their pants from a 3X down to a 2X. And that was at the time when they shared that with me. Now, I've seen this person since, and they are looking so good, so good. I can tell that they have lost a lot of weight. And in their email to me this morning, they shared with me that It is a great way to feel better physically and spiritually, and that they have even more joy in their heart now than ever. And they love the Lord. They're in a ministry of their own. They're doing what God has them doing out there. And so to read that they've got even more joy now in their heart than they've ever had before is remarkable. And I had just found out the other day that with all the weight that they've lost, because they had severe knee problems, their knees hurt them so bad. And with all the weight that they have lost, their knees does not hurt anymore. So praise God Almighty, through obeying Him and the way He created the body, they're losing the weight, their knee pain is gone, and they're getting even closer to God than ever before, and they have more joy than ever before. This person has been close to God for so long anyway. Their life evolves around God the way it is. And for them to have even more of Him, that just tells me, people, that you can never have enough of God. No matter how close you feel to Him, you can never get close. You can never stop getting close to Him. You can never have more of Him. God is just so amazing. He's so amazing. Another jewel for me, another great testimony for me, the bra that I'm wearing right now, when I'd gotten it a few months back, came in a dual pack, had 2 different colors. And the one I was able to fasten onto the middle clip. And the one I'm wearing right now, I could only fasten on the very first one. This morning I was able to fasten it onto the last one. That is amazing. To only be able to, and it was tight when I would fasten it on the first one, it was still tight. And this morning I was able to fasten it onto the last one, and it fits just right. Wow. And these are my gym pants, one of the pairs of gym pants. And when I would put these on for my exercise in the morning, and being 210 something, 200, like 17, 14, 10, they were hard for me to put up. I would have to wriggle and pull and tug and, just this morning, even though they're snug fitting, they're supposed to be snug fitting anyway, as gym pants are. But instead of me having to do so much manipulating with them, they came up a lot easier. God is so awesome. Doing the lay down is so awesome. Obeying Him and eating the way He created us to eat with the hunger and fullness is awesome. Not being bound by rules of restriction and certain times to eat and having to count and log. Being free from that is awesome. I am still enjoying candies and pastas. Yesterday, I had a hamburger helper. Major no-no 1, processed. Major no-no 2, noodles. And I ate it. And guess what? Like, I had put it in when we make a big batch of something, we put it in sill bowls. Something similar to Tupperware, but this is a different brand. And so we put them into the bowls. And we've got the small bowls, the bowls that's about that big and that shallow. So I guess that's what, about a half cup, around about half cup, or maybe it's a whole cup. It might be a whole cup. Anyway, so we store them in those little containers. That way we've got leftovers to stretch for a few days. And I had the very last bowl that I had served, and it didn't quite fill it up to the top. It you know, I'd already put portions into 3 other bowls, and the 4th bowl had less because that was all that was left in the pan. And so I had fixed myself a salad as well to go with it. And I ended up getting 2/3 done into the bowl, and there was still quite a bit left, actually, still quite a bit left in that bowl, and I was starting to feel full. Well, the one thing that I didn't do right, even though God had mercy on me, I asked him to forgive me last night for doing it. I pushed through and I ate that, and then I started into my salad. But the great thing is, it got to the point I was so completely satisfied I didn't finish all the salad. So, but I realized that when I go to eat my second bowl, because it turned out there was 4 bowls, so my husband has 2 and I would have 2. And so when I go to eat my second bowl, I'm probably only going to be able to eat half of that, and I'm going to have to store the other half because I'm going to end up being full. And that is crazy amazing. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. But, you know, I'm enjoying things. Some mornings, when I go to finally break my fast, because sometimes I'm not hungry until 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Other times I'm hungry right around 11 o'clock. It's just, my body varies. And sometimes all I want is just a bag of the veggie straws and my can of Coke. And sometimes I get about 2/3 into the bag and I'm finished. I'm done. I don't want no more. And I only drink about 1/3 of my little mini. And so, you know, it's just, when you put your trust in God and you obey him, you find yourself doing things that you would have never done with your own willpower. You find yourself doing things that you would have never done with your willpower. Being able to throw something away that you normally would have ate all of, or being able to store something up that you would have normally demolished. Instead, you got to put the rest of it back into the fridge. It is wonderful how God works. Putting your trust completely and solely into him. Completely. And you go, wow. You go, wow. I never thought in a million years, you know? So, yeah, I love putting my trust in God. I love having him on my side, and I love eating the way that he taught me to eat. I love it. The way that he created my body, it's a marvelous thing. And I do not ever want to mess that up. Ever. Losing weight God's way is awesome. It's awesome. So, yeah. I'm going to give you just a little profile here. Just a sneak peek. I have been looking in the mirror. I mean, every time, the mirror is right in front of my commode, so of course I can't help but look, but I look at myself in the mirror every morning and I see And I thank God for what He's doing with my body. It's amazing. So I'm going to give you just a small sneak peek. By the way, this is day 78, 12 days left to go to day 90, when I get to give you the statistics and the comparison clips from day 1 of the Cooking It series to day 90. Side-by-side comparison of my body. I look forward to it. I look forward to it. Oh my gosh, I look forward to it. But here's a little profile. Now, what do you think of that, guys? Here's a little profile right there. Isn't it good looking? It just... Where'd the barrel cag go? It's not there. I no longer look pregnant. God is so good. He's so awesome. Oh, I tell you, I love losing weight His way. I love it. I'm not bound. I'm not tied. I'm not restricted. I get to eat what I enjoy. And I'm losing the weight because I'm obeying His way. I'm obeying His way. Oh, praise God. Praise God. God is so awesome, guys. He's so awesome. I love you guys. And I can't rejoice enough. I can't give my Father enough praise. I just can't. But I love yous. I will see yous tomorrow. Have a great day.